अपने मन को हमेशा संतुलित रखना है। इसी में हमारा आत्म विकास समाया हुआ है। I commit that I shall always try to maintain a balanced state of mind, for it is in this state that my highest self development is possible. त्वयि मे सर्वं नो नो आत्मनि मे त्वं मो मो स्मारे स्मारे ओम ओम चित्तं शामय शामय ओम स्मराणि सोऽहं ओम शान्तं चिन्मयम् ओम अतस्तं केवलम् ओम स्मराणि शुद्धम् ओम 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 God, my all is in you, and you are present in my inner self. Please direct me to be mindful of thee. May I be led by my spirit. May I get peace of mind. May I have constant remembrance of thee and of my purified self, dwelling only in thee. Om, Om, Om.
Thanks.
Okay. So last time we had discussed about Samadhi in Sutra 3. Now today we will be moving to Sutra 4 and Sutra 5. So Sutra 5 is a continuation of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi idea. And now a different dimension is being given to these three techniques of Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. So the Sutra 5, it reads, Trayam ekatra sanyamah. Trayam ekatra sanyamah. The three together on the same object is called Sanyam. In Hindi, if we translate the sutra, तीनों का एक ही विषय पर संगठित होना संयम कहलाता है. तो धारणा, ध्यान, समाधि done together on the same object is called sanyam. So this idea of sanyama has to be understood. Sanyama is the collective name of dharana, dhyan, and samadhi. Now, naturally, the question comes that we saw dharana, dhyan, and they are included in samadhi because dharana and dhyan, if they are not there, samadhi is not possible. So samadhi is a kind of further development of the earlier two techniques. So when we say the word samadhi, automatically the dharana dhyan concept comes in. These techniques are presupposed in the concept of samadhi. So what is this fourth name which is being included here or which is being introduced here in the name of Samyama. So here we have to understand that there are subtle differences between this concept of Samyama and the concept of Samadhi. So what are these differences that we have to see? Now, you see that the moment we say Samyama, later on in the entire Samadhi path, we will see that this Samyama word is again and again used. So one advantage is that every time Patanjali doesn't have to say Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi done together or Samadhi on this. He uses the word Samyama. That itself is a kind of indication that what he is talking about. So Samyama is a technical name of highest form of concentration attainable by human being. Yogis, Rishi Munis, the best kind of concentration which they can attain, that has been termed as Samyama. So why they are, how to differentiate why Samyama is being talked about here and why not only Samadhi is being talked about. So we have to understand that when we are talking about Samadhi's definition, we'll find that in Samadhi, the mind as if becomes one with the object. That is the idea which has been stated in the earlier sutras. So a very simple example would be, I had thought of a object. Let me see if I can get. I'm going to show you an object. Now, looking at that object, you have to be little aware as to what happens when you see that object, because later on we'll have to, dwell on it a little bit, and then we try to understand exactly what is happening. So this object can really make us understand what is the difference between Samadhi and Samyama. So this is the object. Now I'm going to ask you few questions. So I was holding it for a little longer so that you can see it well and you can understand what you saw. So now tell me what you saw and what you thought of it. You can unmute.
Anant flower with a beautiful fragrance.
Ananta flower with beautiful fragrance. Okay. Now, if I want to ask you to tell more about this, where your attention would be, what you will think.
On the object, how it looks.
On the
Yes.
white petals.
On the white petals, yeah. You also said one aspect of nice fragrance, but fragrance I could not send to you from here. You imagined that fragrance, but the white petals and the form you saw.
And the
right?
green leaves.
And the green leaves. So now you see, when we say that an object is to be selected for concentration, so in Dharana, suppose this flower is selected for concentration. So what will be the object of concentration in this flower, where you will focus on? If I ask you that you have to carry out dharana on this particular flower, what is, everybody has to think about it, and then, some of you can answer also. So I'm asking you to focus on this flower. What you will do exactly, for focusing
I,
your mind on this
you
flower?
either concentrate on the shape or the color or the size.
Okay.
धारणा अगर करना है तो एक चीज पे करना है ना. So either you take the color or focus on the
हाँ,
color or the size or the shape.
तो कौन सा कलर लोगे? उसमें 2 कलर है.
So either or you have
Either.
to select.
Yeah. What about others? What others say?
I would like to just concentrate on the bud, how it has bloomed to flower from bud.
Okay. So, but then bud is not visible, no?
No, but it is the output of that bud, no? Flower.
No, yeah, even if it is, so bud, you will be imagining then that the bud was like this, and then from that the flower has come.
Yeah.
That means you will be focusing on some characteristics which is not there.
Yeah.
So now essential condition of dharana is that you have to focus on some object which is present, some characteristics which is present.
Okay.
So either you have to select white color or you'd have to select the leaf, green color. Because these are the characteristics.
नहीं मैं बंद कर रही हूँ. 1 मिनट. अरे अरे वो नहीं चल रहा है, कुछ और बंद कर रही हूँ.
It's funny. So what others say?
Yeah, what you're saying is right. We have to choose either the white or the green.
Okay. So you selected white, for example. Now let us conclude it. So suppose so everybody has selected the white color of the flower and one is focusing on that. So what will happen? The dharana will happen on the white color, and that white color will persist in the mind in the form of vritti, because and you are looking it in the form of flower through the eyes. So there is an image being formed of the flower in the mind through the eyes. So continuously new every time, every moment a vritti has to be generated in the mind, which is of the same color, same flower, same object. So that effort has to be there. Mind will run here and there, mind will go here and there. Every time the mind will be brought back and mind will be focused on the white color of the flowers. And ultimately a stage may come when the mind will stop getting distracted very frequently and it will remain focused for a very long time on the white color. When that happens, automatically the dharana which is there, it will be get converted into dhyana. And in dhyana, continuously that moment after moment, vritti after vritti, only that white color will be perceived by the mind, and continuously mind will remain focused moment after moment on that. And there will be very less distractions in dhyana. So once the dhyana has been attained, then it has to be practiced for a very, very long time. Now we are trying to only understand theoretically, because this is something, the kind of concentration which this sutra is talking about is something which we can only imagine. We can only conceive in the mind in the form of a concept, because we don't have any direct experience of such concentration. So we cannot really understand what it means. But then theoretically, then intellectually, we are trying to understand using our imagination, using our anumana, inference. We are trying to understand what must be that state of mind. So in dhyana, the perception is continuously going on, vritti after vritti, the same vritti is going on of the white color. And then in dhyana, what is there? There is some kind of self-consciousness, because still the mind has not acquired that kind of concentration which will convert itself into samadhi. So there might be a breakage in between in the vrittis, and one may become aware that I'm trying to concentrate on this white color. I'm focusing, I'm aware that I'm doing that. And that is the best way of doing it. When we are focusing on an object, then we have to constantly remind ourselves. This is what is smriti. We had discussed about smriti in Sutra 20 of chapter 1. So Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka Ittaresham. There we had discussed this concept of Samadhi, Smriti, which is a technique. So if this Smriti is there, then one will remember that, he is focusing. And ultimately a stage may come that concentration becomes so good that one may lose sight of this self-awareness that I am focusing, that will be lost. And only the white color of the flower will as if shine in the mind, and mind will become one with that white color. And when that happens, that will be termed as Samadhi. So now we understand this much, that this is what is Samadhi. So how Samyama is different from this? Now Samyama is different from this in this manner, that when we looked at this flower, see, when we are looking at this flower, there are so many aspects. Now the color is only one aspect of it. Apart from the color, there is a kind of tenderness in it. And, Priyam talked about fragrance. Now, when we are looking at the form, white color, what is happening is we are only touching one aspect of the flower. Which aspect of the flower? Out of the Panchamahabhutas, it is the fire element. It is the form. So the form. Color also is related to form. Without fire element, no color is possible to be perceived. We are perceiving color because of the fire element. So out of the 5 tattvas, out of the 5 Panchamahabhutas, only the fire element is involved in Dharana, Dhyana and Samadhi. You are getting the point clearly? So only one aspect of flower has been known in Samadhi. Now how Samyama is different from Samadhi? One has to keep on looking at this flower, and then there are other aspects to flowers, like there is a smell. Now that smell is coming from another tattva, which is Prithvi tattva. And also there is a kind of taste in this flower. And there the Jal tattva comes in, or water element comes in. Also there is a tenderness, the sense of touch is there. Then the Vayu tattva comes in, and then this flower is occupying certain amount of space, desha. So that aspect comes in. So now we have to understand, I have tried to make, simplify it. In Samyama, all the aspects of flower will be known. Not only one aspect, that is the flower's color, not only the white color, but all aspects of the flower. Be it even its atomic structure, its space occupying quality, its sense of touch which is there, or even the taste and the smell also. So all aspects of the flower, the difference between Samadhi and Samyama is that in Samyama, there could be a series of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi on various aspects of the object, same object. Here we have selected as an example this flower. So it could be any other object, as we saw while discussing the concept of Dharana. There are various kinds of objects. So these objects have to be understood in a very, very thorough manner, in a correct manner. Our knowledge normally is not accurate. Our knowledge is not accurate in the sense that we are only talking about one aspect. So it is like, the blind man holding different parts of elephant. So it is not that they are not real. So when a blind man says that elephant is like a big pole, he's telling the truth, because he is only covering that one aspect of it. But that is not the totality. So in Samyama, the totality of the object is available. That is the difference between Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi and Samyama. That is why every time you will find that Patanjali later on will be using the word Samyama when he's talking about Siddhis. So this is to be understood. Now, what happens here in Samyama? Samyama is like a very, very powerful tool. As I said, that it is the highest possible concentration attainable by human mind. You can say human mind, or for that matter, any being. Any being cannot attain better concentration than Samyama. This is the highest conception of Samyama in the system of yoga. And we know that yoga is all about concentration. So what is happening? There's a transformation taking place in the mind of the yogi who is going through the process of Dharana, Dhyana, and Samadhi. And ultimately, he is able to attain the capacity to be able to go into Samyama concentration. So his mind is totally undergoing, change. Entire mind transforms as if. So what is this transformation? Remember, last sutras, we have been talking about Ekagra Chitta. Samadhi, that Samadhi is yogic Samadhi, which is attained in a Ekagra Chitta. Vithita Chitta Samadhi is not proper yoga Samadhi. It doesn't help because we saw that concentration is possible even in a very bad state of mind also. Examples have been given by Aranya also and various commentators that through hatred also concentration is possible. Through negative emotions also concentration is possible. Last time we discussed about Jayadratha from Mahabharata. He had a very good concentration, but that concentration was coming from tamas, because tamas and sattva has got very little difference in as far as the characteristics are concerned. So how it has been distinguished? So tamas, a lake which is very still but full of mud and lot of dirt is like tamas. But a lake very clear where you can see the bottom is the same lake. Lake is very still. In tamas also stillness is there. In sattva also stillness is there. But sattvic stillness is very clear, illuminating, everything is known. So that kind of difference is there. So mind is undergoing a transformation in the form of movement from Vyuthita Chitta, disturbed state of mind, to Ekagra Chitta. So this Samyama and Samadhi is possible only in Ekagra Chitta. This we have to understand. That is why somebody had asked Dr. Jaydev, do you teach Samadhi in Yoga Institute? So doctor said, no, we don't teach Samadhi here. Here we only prepare the bhumis. That was the answer Dr. Jaydev gave. हम यहाँ पे भूमियों को बनाते हैं. भूमियों को बनाते हैं मतलब हमने देखा है चित्त भूमियां कौन सी होती है? क्षिप्त, मूढ़, विक्षिप्त, एकाग्र. तो भूमियों को बनाते हैं इसका मतलब क्या है कि हम वो कंडीशंस यहाँ पे प्रोवाइड करते हैं जिससे व्यक्ति की एकाग्रता बढ़े और उसकी भूमियों में बदलाव आ सके. मतलब वो क्षिप्त, विक्षिप्त, मूढ़ से वो एकाग्र भूमि में जा सके, क्योंकि एकाग्र भूमि में ही समाधि संभव है. और कोई भूमि में समाधि होगी तो वो समाधि नहीं, योगिक समाधि नहीं रहेगी. Because you see that the world is full of people having very good concentration. That's why so many inventions are there, so many difficult problems are getting solved. The distance are being calculated to the planets, and the rockets are going and landing. So all those calculations are done in the mind with a very good concentration. That concentration is available, but that doesn't mean that concentration is the yogic concentration. For having called to call it yogic concentration, I told you what are the criteria. The four characteristics of some Sampragnata yoga, they were discussed last time. I told you these are the characters. So somewhere spiritual development and that clarity of goal, if that is there and the samadhi is attained with that goal in mind, that purpose is very clearly in the mind, that one is trying to attain a better state of mind, one is trying to become free from the kleshas, one is trying to have a stable, steady state of mind, one is trying to attain peace of mind. If these are the goals and that concentration is carried out with such goal in the mind, then that concentration can be termed as proper yogic concentration. Otherwise, it will not be yogic concentration. So this difference we have to understand. So now what is happening? What kind of transformation is taking place in the mind? So you see, ordinary mind is like if we try to understand it from a scientific example, you see the electric bulb. Ordinary mind is like an electric bulb. It has got light, it illuminates. So every mind illuminates, every mind has the capacity to know. Knowledge is possible in all states of mind, and all in the basic function of mind itself is knowledge. So everybody knows, but how much? So bulb also illuminates, but how much it illuminates? So we'll find there is a big room and there's a small bulb or maybe a big bulb. The bulb is throwing light in the entire room. It is illuminating the entire room and everything is visible in the room. But still you will find that there are certain nooks and corners where the light is not reaching, for the simple reason that the bulb is diffusing. It is diffused light. It is going in all directions, scattered. Same way a mind of an ordinary person is scattered, running here and there. It tries for concentration only in desired objects where one is attracted, one is interested, he gets good concentration. Otherwise, that concentration is not available. Mind is running here and there. So even when we are focusing on some object, there is an onslaught of various kind of stimuli on the senses. So if a object is of the kind of visual, so we are focusing our eyes on that and we are looking at its form. There's an onslaught of other stimuli on the ears, on the nose in the form of smells, the touch, and the taste. So this doesn't allow the mind to remain focused for a very long time and in a good manner. So ordinary mind can be compared to a bulb which has got light, which is diffused light. Now in Samyama what happens, or in Samadhi what happens? The mind is converting itself into a kind of searchlight. Now bulb is illuminating every area, but searchlight illuminates only a limited area. But that limited area will be totally illuminated. So that is the kind of change which is taking place in the mind of a yogi. Instead of becoming a diffused bulb, diffused light bulb, he becomes like a searchlight. His mind becomes like a searchlight. Now, searchlight has got one characteristic, that in whichever direction you throw the light, that limited part where the light is falling, that will become completely illuminated. Now, that is the ability yogis, as if all the energies have been focused together. That is what is happening. So this also can be, understood. What happens exactly in Samadhi, what happens exactly in Samyama. This can be understood by another example. We can take the example of sunlight. Now, sunlight is also very diffused. So we can take the sunlight on our back, on our body, nothing happens. We enjoy. If it is cold, we really feel very nice. But same cold weather, if those sunlight rays are collected together in a magnifying glass, we keep the magnifying glass against the light and then we focus by moving that magnifying glass. We can come to a point where all the rays of the sun are getting concentrated at a particular point. Everybody must have tried. बचपन में किया रहेगा बहुत बार. हम लोगों ने बहुत कागज जलाए हैं मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास के साथ में. तो सनलाइट में मैग्नीफाइंग ग्लास पकड़ के कागज के ऊपर फोकस करते थे, कागज में आग लग जाती थी. So that kind of power is there in those very rays which are not affecting to us otherwise, but they get collected together through magnifying glass. They assume a very great power. Same kind of transformation is taking place in the mind. A mind which is diffused, its energies are running here and there, distracted. That mind becomes very sharp, very focused. When that happens, then that mind can understand much more. It can go deeper into the aspect, and then various kinds of insights can take place. A deeper knowledge is possible. As it is, we know that concentration is the key to knowledge. The difference between all other beings and human beings is that the human mind is capable of concentrating on a particular problem, and when that mind concentrates on a problem, the solution is available. Concentration gives the solution. Example would be, when the rains are there, we immediately go to a shade. And if the shade is not there, we can create the shade. But look at the other animals. They are also harassed by the rain. They are also worried by the rain, but they cannot construct a shade on their head. So human beings are able to do, because that concentration ability is there. It can solve the problem. What should I do? This should. So last time I gave you example of mobile phone. a room full of computer and a small mobile which is containing all the features which a big computer used to have maybe 25 years, 30 years back. All that is possible because human mind is concentrating and trying to solve certain issues. So now imagine that is in the very practical realm where we are talking about, practical life, solving the problems of practical. But here, yogi is concentrating from a different perspective that he wants to know the truth. He's not interested in these external things, but he's interested in understanding the truth about himself, about his own mind. He's trying to access that higher consciousness. So imagine what kind of insight this yogi can have. And that's why they say that Samyama can give us the supernormal knowledge, unusual knowledge. So one may ask, what is the difference? How the yogi's mind is different from ordinary mind? I often used to give an example, almost last 30 years. So that, of measuring scales. Measuring scales are there which are used by vegetable vendors, and measuring scales are there which are used for measuring gold. So person going to market buying potatoes 2.5 kg, 5 kgs, it is weighed in a measurement. And person going to a goldsmith and buying 5 grams of gold or 1 gram of gold, the weighing scale is used there also. But there is a lot of difference between the weighing scale of a jeweler and weighing scale of a vegetable vendor. Both are doing same functions. Both are showing weight. There's no difference in the function. Same way, there's no difference between the function of the mind of ordinary individual and a yogi. Both are knowing. But in one case, one is knowing in a diffused way, in a scattered way. Very little knowledge is available. Very faulty knowledge is available because of the fault in the instrument which he is using, the so-called mind and the senses. And in other case, yogi is trying to perfect that. Yogi is trying to eliminate all the distractions, perfecting his concentration. So like a measuring scale of a jeweler, which can show the difference within milligrams also, 1 or 2 milligrams also, one can discern. So that kind of discerning mind is available to a yogi. That is what is happening in case of Samyama. That is why Samyama is able to give us the kind of knowledge, because it is so acute, it is so sharp, it is so fine-tuned. Mind has as if become, perfect instrument. So this is the difference between the Samadhi, and that's why this word Samyama has been used. Now, what happens is, the next sutra talks about after this Samyama has been mastered, then what happens? Tajjayat prajnalokah. Tajjayat prajnalokah. So this is made up of again 4 words. Tat Jayat. So by becoming master of Samyama or by mastery over Samyama. So Tat is Samyama, and Jayat is mastery. And Prajna and Alok. These are the 4 words in the sutras. Tat Jayat Prajnalokah. By mastering that, the light of knowledge, Prajna dawns. संयम जैसे प्रज्ञा का आलोक होता है. So now let us look at this idea. Now we have understood what Samyama is, how Samyama helps, what happens when Samyama has been mastered. That is stated in Sutra 5. So now here we have to understand, continuing this example of a diffused bulb and the searchlight, and a mind which is weak, a mind which is distracted, obviously the kind of knowledge he will acquire It will be a very poor kind of knowledge. It will not be accurate knowledge. So every form of knowing state of mind is ज्ञान. जो भी हम जानते हैं वो गलत भी रहेगा तो भी ज्ञान है, सही भी रहेगा तो भी ज्ञान है, क्योंकि कुछ ना कुछ तो जान ही रहे हैं. अब उसमें कुछ गलत ज्ञान भी होता है तो उसको क्लेशों के फॉर्म में लाते हैं, विपर्य में लाते हैं, और जो सही ज्ञान रहता है तो उसको हम लोग अक्लिष्ट वृत्ति के हिसाब से देखते हैं और सही ज्ञान विवेक ख्याति के हिसाब से देखते हैं. तो दिस इज द डिफरेंस. नाउ हियर वी हैव टू अंडरस्टैंड प्रज्ञालोक. नाउ प्रज्ञा इज सी knowledge. This idea we had discussed in earlier also, if you all recall, when we did chapter 2, Sutra 27. So, tasya saptadha pranta bhumi prajna. This was Sutra we had discussed in great detail. There we saw how prajna is different from the ordinary knowledge and what is meant by prajna. We had also discussed this, if some of you were present when we discussed Sutra 20 of chapter 1. There we saw this concept of prajna, and then that time also we had discussed how prajna is different from ordinary knowledge. So that sutra was Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna, Purvaka Itaresha. So this prajna word is very, very significant and very important. We have to understand that what kind of knowledge is acquired from Samyama. Last time we were discussing about two kinds of samadhi, sampragnata samadhi and asampragnata samadhi. The knowledge which is acquired in sampragnata samadhi is equivalent to prajna. It gives the highest form of knowledge related to object, and it gives us the highest kind of wisdom related to that object. So there is a difference between ordinary knowledge and this prajna that we have to understand clearly. Now, when we talk about Dhyana, I'll just, while discussing Sampragnata, we saw that the kind of knowledge which is acquired in Sampragnata, that becomes a stepping stone for liberation. It becomes a stepping stone for the Niruddha Samadhi or Asampragnata Samadhi. So from that perspective, when we look at this Jnana idea, the knowledge idea, now let me just read little passage. किस प्रकार का ज्ञान मुक्ति का कारण है? मन को जानने की सभी अवस्थाएं ज्ञान रूप हैं, चित्त की सभी वृत्तियां ज्ञान रूप हैं, पर साधारणतः यह ज्ञान मुक्ति देने वाला नहीं है. ज्ञान सांसारिक बंधन को और भी दृढ़ कर सकता है. So there is a certain kind of knowledge which will increase the propensity of the mind to move towards worldly affairs and get caught further into the worldly, but not get liberated. So not every kind of knowledge is capable of liberating. Only the right kind of knowledge which has got this capacity to weaken the kleshas, weaken the karmas, give us insight into the Purusha, give us insight into the nature of mind and take us in the direction of Sampragnat Yoga. Only that knowledge is considered to be the highest knowledge. So, मुक्त करने वाला ज्ञान विशिष्ट प्रकार का है और उसे पाने की प्रक्रिया भी विशिष्ट प्रकार की है. भक्ति, ज्ञान, कर्मयोग द्वारा यह ज्ञान प्राप्त होता है. योग की क्लिष्ट अक्लिष्ट सभी वृत्तियां भी ज्ञान के स्वरूप हैं, ज्ञान का स्वरूप है. मुक्त करने वाले ज्ञान को सामान्यतः शास्त्रों में प्रज्ञा कहा गया है. इसे हम पराविद्या भी कहते हैं. अब पराविद्या, अपराविद्या. So here we are reminded, the definition of vidya, because often for prajna vidya word is used, often for the liberating kind of knowledge the vidya word is used, vidya and avidya. And one of the definition of vidya in shastras, when we look at the shastra, sa vidya ya vimukta hai. सा विद्या या विमुक्त है. विद्या क्या है? जो हमको मुक्त करती है. तो कौन सी विद्या हमको मुक्त करती है? बहुत सारी विद्याएं तो हमको बांध देती है. जब वर्ल्डली चीजों के बारे में हम ज्ञान प्राप्त करते हैं, विद्या प्राप्त करते हैं, तो वो विद्या तो हमको और भी ज्यादा संसार से बांध देती है. We get interested in so many things, so mind get distracted more and more. But here they are talking about different kind of prajna, different kind of jnana, different kind of vidya. So this is how the difference is there. Now you see, prajna is that which where the wisdom is acquired. Now this wisdom is ability to think of a particular object from all directions. We saw that what is the characteristics of Samyama. Samyama means ability to see the object completely, all its aspect, maybe even all the three dimensions of time also. So past, present, future, everything, because that is what's stated. If you're reading the commentaries, you must have read that Sutra 16 has been referred in one of the commentaries. Now Sutra 16 is talking about doing Samyama on three aspects of time: past, present, and future. So the characteristics of an object which were there in the object in past, which are presently available, which are going to be manifested in future, every kind of knowledge is available to yogi, that has been stated. So now that kind of knowledge has been talked about. So prajna is related to that. So prajna loka. Now one acquires that kind of knowledge which is really giving an insight into true nature of the world. We understand intellectually, we understand that world is changing, but a person with prajna will not only know it intellectually, he will live it. So that reminds me of a Zen story. A person, a great Zen master, attained enlightenment and he became very famous. So a person wanted to know about enlightenment. So he walked all the way, climbed the mountains to reach the person, the sage, Zen master who had attained enlightenment, to get guidance from him. So he was welcomed, and then the enlightened master asked him, "Tell me, what is the purpose of your coming here? What you want to know?" So now you see, this enlightened person asked this question. So this person said, "I want to know what it means to be enlightened." So this person replied, he said, nothing, very simple. Only thing is, the moment I get up from the sleep, I say that this could be my last moment. This is my last moment. Whenever I do something, I remember that this could be my last moment. So that person said, okay, everybody knows that. What is new in it? So this person replied, everybody knows it, but I live it. That is the difference between enlightenment and so intellectual knowledge and really living that. These two things are totally different. So after attaining prajna, a person is permanently changed, that as if the knowledge which he has acquired, it becomes a permanent feature of the mind. Now compare it with the ordinary, we are acquiring so many philosophical ideas every day from WhatsApp, from our teachers, but how much is retained in the mind? When it comes to the crucial moment of testing, when we fall weak, when we go wrong, at that time, does that knowledge come to rescue? That is the most important question. Now, person with prajna, in his case, that knowledge will be always present. And in that knowledge will always come to rescue that individual from the dangers. So that is one major difference. And, various kinds of examples could be there, which can, tell us that how persons with prajna are different from the, ordinary knowledge. Like one example which comes to my mind, when I was reading the sutra and thinking about it, I had read a story about some disciples of a guru, and that guru had taught them a very important vidya. It is known as Sanjeevani Vidya. So now, what is Sanjeevani Vidya? Sanjeevani Vidya is that if you have any remnants of a dead body, you can chant certain mantras and you can do some process of that Sanjeevani Vidya, and the dead animal or person will come to life. That is what is Sanjeevani Vidya. So now these Shishyas learn, and then they are traveling. Two Shishyas are there. So they, while traveling into a forest, they come across a skeleton of a lion. So this one of the Shishyas, in his enthusiasm, he says, now this is the time to test Sanjivani Vidya. He says, now I'm going to, make this lion alive. And he starts chanting and doing that process. The other Shishya, he says, wait. Let me climb the tree and then you do it. So he climbed the tree and, the person who's standing down, he's chanting the mantras and the lion comes into life and he's alive. And as soon as he's alive, he see the person here, he attacks and the person who made him alive, he dies. Now, you see, knowledge, he had the knowledge of Sanjivani. He had the knowledge, great knowledge of Sanjivani, but he did not have the prajna. He did not have viveka, where he has to use Sanjivani Vidya. Now, this is what is happening in most of the cases. A person, so-called smart person, we see that, he has attained great business skill and he's mastering, he's, owner of a big company. But then when he smokes a cigarette, he reads the warning on the cigarette pack. Cigarette smoking is dangerous, injurious to health. Still, he takes out a cigarette and he smokes. Now, this is the difference between knowledge. Knowledge is there. Knowledge is there. Everybody has got knowledge. If we eat too many sweets, it is bad for us. Still, we eat. If we eat too much, it is bad for us. Still, we eat. Doing certain things, we know that they are harmful. Addiction to mobile phone. We know it is bad, but still we are not able to get rid of it. Now, why it is so? Because we are not having prajna. If that prajna was there, then that prajna will come to rescue. And that is what is prajna aloka. So when Samyama is attained, yogi can acquire this kind of prajna that he will be guided in the right direction. That is very significant. And this viveka, ultimate aim is also viveka khyati. So remember Sutra 28 of chapter 2. Yoga anga anushthanad ashuddhi shaya dhyana deeptira viveka khyate. Viveka khyate is the ultimate. Prajna is the ultimate. That is why in chapter 1, Sutra 20, Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, and after Samadhi it is Prajna. So Shraddha, Virya, Smriti, Samadhi, Prajna Purvaka Ittaresha. So attaining this prajna, that is the wisdom. So yogis acquire this kind of wisdom where they can understand the truth of things. They can understand what is real, what is unreal. They can discriminate, and not only they can discriminate, they can guide their actions in the form of discrimination, in the light of that discrimination. So the mistakes don't occur. Now this is very significant aspect of prajna. First, prajna, knowledge acquired in prajna is lasting. It remains part of the mind. It doesn't leave us. That is one characteristic. The another characteristic is there will be shraddha. There will be kind of a certainty of whatever. There is no doubt in the mind of a yogi. As soon as a situation arises, he acts with a certainty. He knows what is to be done. He doesn't get confused. That clarity is there. So all these characteristics are, and then he has got enough awareness. Prajna means that awareness which guides us in the right direction. That is what is the characteristics of prajna. So tajjayat prajna loka. And that prajna will come from this Samyama technique. If Samyama is mastered and then it is applied in a certain manner, then one can acquire highest form of wisdom. That is what Sutra says. I know it is very technical Sutra. I tried to simplify as much as I could, but still if there are any doubts, we can discuss them.
Namaste, sir. Prerna here.
Ah.
I just wanted to know in this, in Samyama or Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, when we are talking, the importance of the object in front or a mental image of the object. How does one, or it goes from the object first being present and then going on to the mental image. How does that happen for the yogi or person practicing?
See, one of the characteristics of mind, as we start yoga, we cannot directly go to the Chitta Vritti Nirodha. It is not possible. So some vritti is required. What does that mean? That some object is required. Now, so objects have been, prescribed by yogis. We know that spiritual kind of objects are the images of God, or having like sun or the moon or the stars. So such kind of images, such kind of objects have been recommended. An object is initially important, and initially what happens is the transformation doesn't take place in the object. The transformation is taking place in the mind. See, the mind undergoes this change from Shipta Mula Vikshipta to Ekagra. So that is what is significant. Object could be any, but then initially object is important, because if you have faith in some object, that object can hold your attention for a very long time. And it becomes relatively easy then holding your attention on some object which is very, very, इसको कहेंगे नीरस है, जिससे हमारी कोई इंटरेस्ट नहीं है, जिसमें या उसका स्पिरिचुअल सिग्निफिकेंस नहीं है. तो स्पिरिचुअली जो सिग्निफिकेंट ऑब्जेक्ट है वो सिलेक्ट करते हैं, लेकिन बाद में ये होता है कि ऑब्जेक्ट रिमेन्स वेयर इट इज. The real transformation is taking place in the mind, and you acquire knowledge about that object. You get mastery over that object, but object remains what it is. All the changes are taking place within yogi's mind. That is important.
Thank you, sir.
Niranjan, I wanted to know that why was it that when I said that it is the Ananta flower with the fragrance, why I could just get the fragrance? I'm very far away from you, but I could just get the fragrance very strongly. What is this? Is some kind of weakness within me?
No. It is not a weakness, because that experience is already there in the mind. So when we look at certain images, certain experiences, certain perceptions are very deep and very, 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 powerful. So maybe Ananta flower you have seen earlier in the form, and your that fragrance is so deeply put in your mind through that experience, that as soon as you look at the flower, as if that becomes alive. So it's not a real thing, but it is happening, and because it is there in the mind. It's not a weakness, but it is the ability of the mind, because sometimes we smell something and then we are transformed, and the total new set of images, total new world opens up, which might have happened 50 years back, 30 years back. One small a whiff of smell, it can trigger, and subconscious opens up, and mind goes into that. Something of that kind of is happening here. It is not a weakness, it's a ability of the mind. But then because I was showing it here, only the visual form was available, so fragrance could not have physically reached, but that is there in your mind, so that what is there in your mind you experience. Nothing wrong in it, no weakness.
एक्चुअली ऐसे काफी एक्सपेरिमेंट्स किए गए हैं कि लाइक पीपल आर इन शवासन और इन द ट्रांस, एंड फिर वहां पर ऐसे सजेशंस देते हैं कि यू विजुलाइज द ऑरेंज एंड द पील एंड यू आर स्क्वीजिंग द पील, एंड फिर उनको एक्चुअली ऑरेंज का टेस्ट आता है. सो इट इज द सेम वे. इट्स जस्ट द विजुलाइजेशन, बट वो अंदर जो मेमोरी होती है उसके टेस्ट की या उसकी, तो वो एक्चुअली उनको फील होता है. सेम वे आज आपको फ्रेग्रेंस समझ में आया.
So those who have frequently smelled it, I think you are very fond of Ananta flower. So there could be others people also. The moment I show this flower, they will start feeling the fragrance, because the experience of that fragrance is very powerfully there in the mind. So that is triggered, it comes alive.
Actually, I have that plant in the house and it's always blossoming.
Yeah.
And it's very dear to me. So probably it has formed a very strong impression.
Yes.
Namaste, sir. I have a question. Maybe I just want to confirm my understanding. It's Jeanal here.
Yeah.
So regarding to also what Prerna ji mentioned, in context with that,
Yeah.
but further, if I put my understanding in the subject of Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi, so here the mind acquires knowledge of the Purusha, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it?
In a way, yes.
because the mind is focused on the Purusha,
Yeah.
isn't it?
Yeah. Because this Sampragnata has got 4 stages. So Vitarka, Vichara, Ananda, the entire process. In next sutra, we will touch this idea. So
Okay.
various aspects of there, but ultimately, yes, it is the Purusha which is the object. One has to have that insight into the Purusha. That is the ultimate thing.
Yes.
That
So
is very true.
yeah. So I just want to confirm my understanding. I always understand this. Purusha could not be the object. Purusha
Yeah.
is the self, because
Yeah.
it is the object is external, and
Hmm.
Purusha cannot be identified as an object, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So
This-
this we will discuss later.
This we will discuss later, but very briefly, this we had discussed in great detail when we were talking about Sutra 6, Darshana Shaktayore Atmate Vasmita.
Yes.
We were
Yes.
discussing Sutra 17. If you have that recording, if you have the notes of that, you will know that this idea that
Mhm.
ultimately Purusha is beyond the senses, it is beyond Buddhi. So direct perception of neither Purusha nor Prakriti is possible. So at certain level, even the Prakriti in its mool form, mool
Mhm.
Prakriti cannot be perceived, it has to be inferred. But there are, up to a Buddhi level, all that is possible to be perceived. This we had discussed in great detail. But
Right.
because it will digress, if you have any little more doubts, we can discuss it separately. You can discuss with me separately.
Yes. Sir.
But
Yes. Sir.
we had already discussed about it. And
Yes, I will go through.
if the opportunity comes again, Sutra 35 will be there where they are talking about Purusha. So that time maybe we will again venture into it and we'll discuss about it.
Yes, sir. So that brings the difference between ekagra and niruddha state, right?
Yeah.
Precisely.
Yeah.
That would be the
Now whatever is happening, the entire Samyama technique will be in Ekagra Chitta and it will be within the realm of Samprajna.
Mhm.
Niruddha we'll be talking about after 2-3 sutras, we'll talk about Niruddha idea.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, I'm Alpana here.
Yeah.
I would like to understand how would you put the state like transcending the concentration?
Uh,
The intense concentration
Samadhi.
is transcended, that is Samadhi, right?
See, now you see these are English terms and language has got limitations. So if you can describe me the exact meaning of saying that transcending the concentration, what do you mean?
Yeah. So,
perhaps I'll be able to answer.
Yeah, what I'm trying to understand is yogi, he's doing dharana, dhyan, and then transcending into samadhi, right?
Yeah.
That is also
Yeah.
concentration.
Yeah, it is.
When a
Precisely.
scientist is working on a problem, or he's in the research, he is also in the intense concentration at the point when he's getting the solutions.
Yeah.
Right. So can we understand that he is also at the verge of samadhi? Means if he transcends that state, he will be into samadhi.
No. It is not a kind of samadhi. It is samadhi.
But yeah.
Because if we go according to Vyasa's definition, yoga means samadhi. Yoga means concentration. So anybody who attains that kind of concentration where he's forgetting the self, then that will constitute samadhi. But then there is a qualified statement coming after that. He says the concentration or samadhi attained by Shipta Mooda Vikshipta Chitta is not proper yoga. So only that is yoga which is attained in a Ekagra Chitta.
Yeah,
So
but I'm
now,
not comparing it with yoga. I'm trying to understand can that situation also lead to the samadhi? Even like
it can lead to samadhi, but it will not be have much use for yoga.
Yeah. Because they are not also, their aim is not that.
No, that aim is not there, and that ekagra chitta is he may going to cause very good artists are there, musicians are there, artists are there. They can remain in studio locked for 2-3 days and they go on painting. They are super concentrated.
Correct.
But then when they come out of studio, what kind of change has taken place in their personality structure?
Nothing.
In their value system, in their morality, or in their prajna, in their wisdom? Have they become wise? The person who made atomic bomb must have had very good concentration.
Yes.
But he did not have the wisdom to understand where it will be used and how it will be used.
Yeah. So
That is the difference.
next, what I want to understand is these people at that stage, if they get inclination towards the yogic learning, it will be easy for them to get into the samadhi.
Definitely, because concentration once learned can be applied in various areas.
Okay. Yes. Thank you, sir. That answers my query.
We have this example in that encyclopedia one. The concentration of a trapeze artist is not the same as the yogic concentration. It is limited to that sphere, right?
Yes.
Unless, of course, the person decides to apply it to other spheres.
Yeah.
Otherwise, his concentration in other walks of life is not relevant.
See, very simple, simple example. Everybody must have, if you all are doing yoga, if you have ever done any meditation, you will understand from simple example. You go into a good concentration when you are watching a serial or when you are watching a movie. You go into a very good concentration, right? Lesser concentration is available when you are sitting for meditation. You might be sitting for meditation only for 20 minutes. You might have seen the movie for 3 hours. Now, which concentration is really good for you and which concentration gives you better knowledge? The concentration in the movie
When
gives
you're
you
alone.
knowledge, or it might be very struggleful. 20 minutes you are meditating, you are struggling. But even in that struggle, whatever little concentration is available, that will give you more knowledge about yourself. That will tell us more deeply about the reality than concentration in the movie. So this will clarify, how yogi is working on himself. It is a voluntary concentration with a desire to understand things, to calm down mind, to bring a peace of mind, to reduce the activity of mind. Now, any effort in that direction, even if it is in small measures, it is much more impactful, much more deeper, much more revealing, much more illuminating than the concentration which is involuntary on the movies or sports or any other thing. So we leave it here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir.